Since we flipped off the agenda, we'll start with old business. I'm sorry. Yes, Councilmember Garberdine.
Councilmember Walker said he had to leave by 10 after, but he wanted to listen to the audience comments.
Yes.
So we've got 5 minutes. Did you want to move that up?
Okay.
Well, what's next on the agenda anyway?
So I was moving on. I missed that. All right. First item on the agenda, audience participation. First up is Robbie DeSario.
My name is Rob DeSario. I live at 267 6th Avenue Southwest in the city, 98047. I'm here about this revival tent. It's been here for 3 years. The first year, they were just pounding that music out like nobody's business. So after they left, I went over and talked to them. And the kids in the band said, you poor guy, we feel sorry for you. We were told to blast that music on the speakers, you know, a loud bass drum and all that stuff. And I'm wondering why the city council signed off on letting those people come here in the first place on John Welch's property, Valley Trucking over there. You didn't put it anywhere in the city, down by the park or anywhere else. Everybody tells me that they thought the Valley Freeway would drown out the music, that don't do it. And they haven't been as bad, but when they play that music, I have to close my windows, and it's been hot. And there's no relief. And I noticed this year, they advertised on TV for a week and a half. My heart sunk. They said, go to .com and find out. Well, I knew it. They're the only ones because those kids told me nobody else would sign off on it. They went to Renton, Kent, Maple Valley, Tacoma, Auburn, all over. But good old Pacific let them come in here. I'm wondering why. I realize there's a couple of city council members that weren't here then, but why did you let them come here in the first place? They're nothing but flim-flam. That's not religion. They got a big sign on there, we need Jesus. It's like the old days, Emo Gantry or flim-flam. Get the kids in there, get their money. John Welch is making money off his property, and the Russians are making money off their gap with that phony religion stuff. That's all it is. But I got to put up with it. And I'm a citizen here. And I'm wondering why this keeps going on. Anybody got any answers?
I'm sorry, we're not allowed to respond.
Oh, I see,
Taking
okay.
testimony.
Okay. Anyway, like I say, I talked to the kids the first year. This last year I went over and this gal with a Russian or a Ukraine accent had a roll of money, like some old mafia chieftain or something like that. Offered me dough. Laughably, I said, I don't want your money. I just don't want you to play that music. You know. So that was last year. Here this year they come with a new tent. It's smaller, but my heart sinks every time I see that. And if you go there now, you can see that Welch has got a bunch of fabrication set up right where that tent was. I mean mats, steel, girders, all this stuff. Like he's going to build a new building there for that specific thing. Well, I got a good friend that's an attorney, Kevin Clucho. I talked to him about this. He said I could put a civil class action suit against the city. I don't want to, or I can move. I just don't know where I'd want to go. Most of my family's around here, my grandkids and everybody's, you know, either here in King County, Snohomish County, or Pierce County. But I'm getting out of here. This is the worst place I've ever lived in my life. To let the city council and people, oh, we all signed off on it. Why don't you go check things out before you do something like that? So, basically that's it. I've only got 3 minutes.
Yes.
Could I get you somewhere real quick? There's a police officer here.
Real quick.
Okay. This is on the County Line Road in Yakima Avenue. That's my backyard, that retention pond. So ever since I moved here, after a couple of years, I noticed a lot of cars were coming in there. That road ends. It might be, Officer Holm thinks it's okay to drive back there, but I will say the Pacific Police, every time I call 911, they're back there, they're urinating, you know, they sleep over, sex, they drink, and the Pacific Police come in there and move them out. I'll say that. But why do we have that? Why don't you put, there's two cement girders over there where they put chain link across it and padlocked it. Well, that only lasts for 4 or 5 months, you know, but they should block that off. The sign over there says, no dumping, no outlet, this area is subject to video surveillance. By the way, the no dumping sign's upside down, you know. Nobody belongs in there, period, for any reason. I know a lot of people are curious, so they'll drive by there. You know, I see them for a few minutes and they drive out, no problem. But most people come in there and they stay for whatever reason. And I don't understand it, but, and the civic police come in there and they have backup, because you don't know what people are doing nowadays. We got our water tower over there, who, you know, they could contaminate our water, who knows? And I ain't no busybody, but I'm retired and I can't help but notice it, so. That's it. And so I would think as much as I call 911, that the police would talk to the city council, you guys get together or something, you know, because that should be blockaded where people can't drive it.
Thank you, I appreciate that, and we'll bring that to the attention
Oh,
of the...
you want me to read the letter from John Welch I got for the first year?
No,
Nope.
you're welcome to submit it if you...
No, that's my problem, I gotta give it to my attorney.
Okay, thank you. We'll refer that to Public Works to take a look into the signage and stuff down there on County Line Road by the reservoir. I appreciate that, thank you. Next up, we have Jean Fancher.
I have to set it so I look skinny. Jean Fancher, 37248 55th Avenue South, up there in the lost land of the West Hill, part of Pacific since 1909. I wrote down on the public forum that I wanted to speak about gift of public funds. And this has come up a couple of times about rental fees and helping people out. And the thing I've heard is that it's against the state constitution to gift public funds. I went on the State Attorney General's website and found at least 4 or 5 opinions that defined or had information about gifting of public funds. And one of the things that kept coming up was the test that the Washington State Supreme Court has stated generally about public funds is whether or not the money goes to a governmental function from proprietary functions, and the act is performed for the common good of all, or whether it is for the special benefit or profit of a corporate entity. Specifically, in one opinion, let's see, that was the county use of sales tax revenue to provide housing for poor people. They said that was okay based on a recent state law. In a gift of public funds, a gift is defined as a voluntary transfer of personal property without consideration. This is Gordon versus Farr, California Appellate Court 82, and a whole bunch of stuff. Parting by owner with property without pecuniary consideration. That would be the gift. The state constitution, written in the 1880s, I'm not sure of the exact date, by our esteemed citizen legislature, wrote, "The credit of the state shall not in any manner be given or loaned to or in any aid of any individual, association, company, or corporation." That's Article 8, Section 7 also states, "No county, city, town, or other municipal corporation shall hereafter give any money or property or loan its money or credit to or in aid of any individual, association, company, or corporation, except for the necessary support of the poor and infirm. Nor may the state become directly or indirectly the owner of any stock in or bonds of any association, company, or corporation." This means the city can help homeless people. The city can help hungry people. It's not a gift of public funds if somebody is poor and infirm. And I would like to point out that this also would help the city maintain its function. I don't know how long it takes for an officer to sit in his car and write up a report after he gives somebody a ticket, might give somebody a ticket for begging, aggressive begging, or loitering. Say somebody's hanging around in front of the Dairy Queen or the Arco or one of the stores and asking for money and the owner complains. If the officer were to give that person a gift card, not a gift card, a debit card, a small one, and say, here, get something to eat, don't pester people here, because I really don't want to write you up. I don't want to write a ticket. 10 minutes and $5 of city resources might save an hour of officer time, and I don't know, you guys are negotiating the police contract. How much is an officer's time worth? What can he be doing better? Driving the streets and having a presence so people aren't speeding through town? So I'd just like you to consider what some of the ramifications are of this one line in the state constitution that accepts the necessary support of the poor and infirm and excludes them from being considered recipients of gifts of public funds. So that's really all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So maybe we can refer that to the Human Services Committee to take a look at and do some research and have some discussion regarding that and bring that back to council.
I'd be happy to give the Human Services Committee chair these 4 different decisions from the Attorney General with some of the public funds highlighted.
Thank you, Jan. Appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Okay. Next item on the, or next person up is Don Thompson. Sorry.
Don Thompson, 416 Second Avenue Southeast Pacific. I'd like to go on record as being adamantly opposed to the policy the mayor has taken on the manning of the police department. There are only 3 occupations which men and women voluntarily risk their lives daily to protect others. They are the United States military, the firefighter, and the police officer. These people never know when they're going to go to work if they will be coming home to their loved ones. There is a certain trust among the individuals that they will be protecting each other by their skills and their knowledge. Manning, equipment, and support staff have to be maintained at all times. Disruptions only cause morale issues, safety to themselves and the public, and confusion. Unless you have personally lived it, you will never understand this unsaid trust. With someone who has never worked a job that puts their life on the line, that starts changing manning, equipment requirements, job description or duties, is headed toward failure with severe consequences. The mayor needs to put the lieutenant back doing PR work, training kids education programs, driving school, and other support staff functions. A second sergeant needs to be hired to beef up the patrol officers. Top-heavy on administration is a weak excuse and should never be brought into play. When I'm elected to the council, I will support our first responders to the fullest and oppose any cuts in any way. Our citizens should fully support first responders for their safety and the safety of our community. Thank you.
Thank you. So is there anyone else here that would like to make audience participation? Come on up after that.
Mark, 603 3rd Avenue Southeast. My first comment is to you, Mayor Geyer. With an apology for my buttonholing you last week and interfering with your work and subjecting you to my words, a rant. I appreciate your graciousness. I don't take back anything I said, but the way I said it and capturing you like that was not appropriate. And I did it in public, and I interfered with your work, and my apologies. I do have a couple other comments. First, I was glad to see that the loitering proposal, which was in your packets for the last workshop, was removed from discussion from the workshop. I don't understand how a measure that would make it illegal to hang around a city park and a tavern, I thought that was interesting, would make it even into the agenda packet. I'm glad that was gone. After the workshop with its discussion of so-called aggressive begging and passive begging and permits for some to engage in aggressive begging but not others, and maybe Girl Scouts, and well, I came tonight expecting to speak to that resolution that was sent out a workshop for consideration tonight, and I see it's not on the agenda, and again, I'm glad it's not there. But its initial presentation does raise some questions for me. The first one being, what's the dimensions of the situation? I looked and looked and looked, and I found no documentation of times, people, behaviors, community impacts, any of the issues were related to it, or any efforts that have been attempted to assist whatever situation is presenting itself. Secondly, as I read it, it seemed like many of the concerns stated in the resolutions were ones in which there's already laws on the books to deal with. There's laws against blocking traffic, against exploiting children, interfering in the operations of a private business. Why another new set targeted specifically at poor folks? And the remedy proposed, a $1,000 fine for people who are begging, is odd to say the least. If you have no money to eat, how do you propose that they would pay the fine? Or is it simply an attempt to pile on troubles for people who are already troubled? And the fourth thing, regarding the agenda bill, I once again noted that the stated budget impact of that proposal was zero. The only way for that an action could cost zero is if it's not done. So not counting the cost of developing legislation, the body of it calls for people convicted under it to spend 90 days in jail. Someone has to pay for it. There is a cost to it. It's anticipated that no one will be convicted, so no cost. And the provision for a $1,000 fine would seem to indicate at least the possible involvement of the court system in the probable use of collection services for people who can't pay, and warrants and further jail time for failure to pay. You get my point, I'm sure. It's not a cost-free deal, let alone the cost of the persons who are targeted for application of this kind of legislation. I think it's important for us to remember once again that your responsibility, your responsibility, and that of every part of the city's government is obligated to ensure the rights, privileges, opportunities for every person who finds themselves in our cities. Business owners and folks just passing through. Ruffians and refined folks alike, if you will, both good and bad. Every person has equal standing and must be so treated. In this election year, it's always tempting to think first and foremost of the voters. Many people have said, and I think they've said it well, that the measure of any society is how it treats the least of its members. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Is there anyone else that would like to address the council for public comment? Any further public comment this evening? All right, seeing none.